There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain, when nothing around you looks like the promise God spoke over your life. But I want you to hear this clearly today. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is preparing you for greatness, for impact, for a future you can't even imagine yet. Every delay, every rejection, every closed door, every lonely night, every unexpected detour, none of it is wasted. When God is preparing you for greatness, He doesn't start with the throne. He starts with the training ground. When God is getting ready to elevate you, He doesn't start the work where the world can see it. He begins in the unseen places. He begins behind the curtain in the quiet moments where nobody is applauding you, nobody is complimenting you, and nobody even knows what you're carrying inside. Because true greatness is never built in the spotlight. It is shaped in the shadows. God knows that public blessings require private strength, so He hides you to build you. He pulls you away from certain people, certain environments, and certain distractions because He needs your ears to be clear, your heart to be clean, and your spirit to be focused. He protects you by placing you in a season where it feels like no one notices your effort, no one sees your growth, and no one recognizes your potential, but heaven sees everything. Heaven is watching your consistency, your obedience, your patience, and your faithfulness when no one else is clapping. Look at every person God ever used greatly before their public moment came. They endured a private season. David was anointed as king while he was still in the field alone with the sheep. Nobody knew the greatness that was growing inside him. Joseph received dreams of influence, but God trained him in hidden places in the pit, in prison, far away from the applause of people. Moses spent years in the wilderness before God let him speak before Pharaoh. Jesus himself spent 30 years in private before 3 years of public ministry. Your hidden season is not a mistake, it is intentional. God hides you so He can heal you. He hides you so He can strengthen you. He hides you so you won't be destroyed by the very platforms He's preparing to give you. Because if the spotlight hits you before the character is built, the light won't reveal your greatness, it will expose your weaknesses. In private seasons, God teaches you discipline. He teaches you humility. He teaches you to rely on Him and not on the validation of others. He teaches you to develop skills, habits, and wisdom that you will need when your moment of visibility comes. He shapes your identity so that success won't make you prideful and challenges won't break you. This season may feel quiet, but it is full. It may feel hidden, but it is holy. And the very fact that God is working on you privately is proof that He is preparing to reveal you publicly. Silence is not absence, silence is strategy. God is developing you in the dark because what He's preparing you for requires strength you can only gain away from the spotlight. One of the greatest misunderstandings in the journey of faith is thinking that when something takes longer than expected, it must mean God said no, but delay is not denial. Delay is God arranging things in a way that is better, wiser, and more powerful than anything you could imagine. When God delays something, He delays it with purpose. He is not stalling. He is synchronizing. He is aligning your life with the right timing, the right people, the right opportunities, and the right environment. And sometimes that alignment requires a pause. Sometimes it requires a redirection. Sometimes it requires seasons where nothing seems to be moving, even though everything in the spiritual realm is shifting on your behalf. Think of a plane waiting on the runway. The pilot isn't denying the destination. He's checking the engines, watching the weather, confirming the flight path, waiting for clearance, and ensuring every detail is correct. It feels like you're waiting for nothing, but in reality, heaven is making sure you're not taking off into turbulence that could delay you even further or destroy what God is trying to build through you. A delay is often God's way of saying you're ready in desire, but not yet ready in development. The promise is prepared, but the past still needs time. What I have for you is too important to be rushed out. There are blessings that would crush you if they came too soon. There are relationships God didn't allow to unfold because they would have drained you. There are jobs, platforms, business deals, connections, and opportunities that look perfect from the outside but were misaligned with your destiny. So God slowed things down. God withheld the high, yes, not because he wanted to frustrate you, but because he wanted to protect you. Divine delays also serve another purpose. They expose what is not meant for your future. People who cannot handle your waiting season will never qualify for your winning season. If they walk away during the delay, they were never part of the divine alignment. God lets delay reveal the motives of those around you and strengthen your discernment for those ahead of you. Sometimes the alignment is happening inside of you. God is building emotional maturity. God is strengthening your spiritual endurance. God is healing wounds you didn't even know you still carry. God is increasing your wisdom and sharpening your intuition. God is pruning habits that would sabotage your next level. What feels like a pause is really preparation. The things you're waiting for are also waiting for you to grow, to evolve, to mature into the person who can handle the blessing without losing yourself. In divine alignment, God is adjusting pieces you cannot see. He's orchestrating behind the scenes. He's putting the right people in position. He's removing the wrong ones. He's pushing certain doors open while closing others that would have led you off course. Delay means God is moving with precision, not hesitation. And when the alignment is complete, when every piece comes together, when the timing is perfect, what once felt delayed will suddenly feel accelerated. And you will realize that every moment of waiting was working for you, not against you. One of the greatest misunderstandings about stepping into greatness is believing that it will feel easy, familiar, or comfortable. But God never prepares someone for extraordinary things through ordinary circumstances. When God is positioning you for greatness, he allows seasons of discomfort not to break you, but to stretch you, expand you, and enlarge your capacity for what he is preparing to place in your hands. Growth and comfort can never coexist. Every time God is getting ready to elevate you, he shifts your environment, your routines, your expectations, even your relationships, because staying the same would limit what he wants to release in your life. Greatness demands more of you, and God uses discomfort as the tool to draw that more out of you. Think of a seed planted in the ground. For it to grow, it must be buried, pressed, covered, and placed in darkness. The seed must crack open before it can rise. And the cracking doesn't feel comfortable, it feels like breaking. But if the seed never broke, the tree hidden inside it would never emerge. You are that seed. You are that seed. Your discomfort is not destruction, it is expansion. God is cracking you open so the greatness inside you can finally come out. When you feel stretched emotionally, mentally, spiritually, God is expanding your capacity. He is building endurance. He is strengthening character. He is developing resilience. He is sharpening your discernment. He is teaching you discipline. He is teaching you to trust him beyond what feels predictable or safe. Discomfort shows up in many ways. The job that no longer feels like your home. And the friendships that no longer pour into you. The dreams that feel too big for your current level. The responsibilities that challenge your strength. The prayers that require more faith than you've ever needed before. These are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs that something is shifting. God uses discomfort to reveal areas that need growth. He exposes insecurities you've buried, weaknesses you've ignored, and fears you thought you had conquered. Not to shame you, but to free you. Because greatness cannot sit on a foundation built on fear, doubt, or fragility. God strengthens what you will need for your next season by confronting what has been holding you back in this one. Every great person in Scripture faced discomfort before destiny. Moses faced his fear of leadership. Joseph faced betrayal and imprisonment. David faced rejection and danger. Esther faced the threat of death. Joshua faced overwhelming responsibility. Their discomfort was the pathway to their greatness. The stretching was necessary. The pressure was part of the process. The uncertainty was a sign that God was transitioning them from who they were to who they were called to be. And that's exactly what he's doing in you. The discomfort pushes you to rely on God instead of your own strength. It forces you to grow beyond your old limits. It teaches you to keep moving even when the road feels unfamiliar. It prepares your spirit to handle the weight of blessings that require maturity, wisdom, and spiritual depth. God is not trying to make your life harder. He is enlarging your capacity so you can hold more responsibility, more influence, more wisdom, more vision, more impact. When God chooses you for something great, he does not simply hand you the blessing, he shapes you for it. And the tool he uses most often is testing. Not to punish you, not to break you, and not to expose your weaknesses, but to refine you, strengthen you, and prepare you to stand in places your character must sustain. A calling without character becomes a collapse waiting to happen. The greater the destiny, the deeper the refining. Tests come in subtle and unexpected forms. The delays that stretch your patience, then challenges that force you to grow. Pain, disappointments that deepen your faith, and responsibilities. Build discipline, conflicts that train emotional maturity and strengthens your trust in God. These tests are not random, intentional. They are intentional. God uses them like a master craftsman uses fire, not to destroy the gold, but to purify it. And in the heat of pressure, the impurities rise to the surface. The insecurities you never addressed, the fear you tried to ignore, the pride you didn't realize you carried, the impatience, the doubt, the attachments that weaken you, all of it is exposed so that God can remove it. You are not being tested because you're unworthy. You're being tested because you are chosen. Think of Abraham. Before he became the father of nations, God tested his trust. Think of Joseph. Before he led Egypt, God tested his integrity. Think of David. Before he ruled Israel, God tested his heart. Think of Job. Before he received double, God tested his endurance. No one called by God escapes testing because testing is transformation. It is the process that turns ordinary people into extraordinary vessels of purpose. Tests reveal what you are made of. They show you who you truly lean on, God or your own strength. They expose what needs to be healed, strengthened, or surrendered. They show you what still controls you and what God needs to free you from before you step into greater responsibility. A calling is not measured by your dreams. It is measured by your character. Character is what keeps you when the spotlight fades. Character is what grounds you when success rises. Character is what protects you from pride, compromise, and destruction. Character is what allows God to trust you with influence, authority, and impact. And character is only built through testing. You cannot pray for a higher level and expect God to skip the refining. The blessing you are praying for carries weight. The platform you desire requires maturity. The influence you want requires emotional strength. The opportunities you are asking for demand self-control, wisdom, and resilience. Tests also teach you spiritual stability. They teach you how to handle not yet without giving up. They teach you how to stand firm when everything around you is shaking. They teach you how to worship through worry, how to trust through uncertainty, how to obey even when it costs you. Testing seasons are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. They strip away the version of you that cannot carry your calling and shape the version that can. Without tests, you would remain unprepared, unequipped, and unevolved for the very thing you were created to do. One of the most misunderstood seasons in a believer's life is the season of isolation, that stretch of time where it feels like people fade away, connections loosen, conversations quiet down, and the world that once felt loud suddenly becomes silent. But isolation is not abandonment. Isolation is not rejection. Isolation is not punishment. Isolation is God's invitation to intimacy, his strategy to remove the noise so he can reveal his voice. When God is preparing you for greatness, he cannot afford for your spirit to be crowded. He cannot allow the opinions of others to drown out his direction. He cannot let the distractions of everyday life interfere with the clarity of his instructions. So he pulls you away not to make you feel lonely, but to make you feel him more deeply. In isolation, God separates you from voices that influence you, from habits that drain you, from environments that limit you, and from relationships that interfere with your identity, not because these things are always harmful, but because they are loud. And greatness requires quiet. Destiny requires focus. Purpose requires discernment. Some of the most life-changing revelations don't come in a room full of people. They come when you are alone. Stripped of noise, stripped of expectations, stripped of distractions. Isolation creates the space for God to shape your heart without interruptions. Look at scripture. Moses encountered God in isolation on the mountain. David learned God's voice alone in the field. Elijah heard the whisper of God when separated in the wilderness. Joseph found clarity in prison. Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray, to think, to strengthen his spirit. Isolation is where God prepares his leaders. It is where he molds character, renews identity, heals wounds, and clarifies assignments. When God isolates you, he is refining the blueprint for your next level. He is rewiring your thinking. He is expanding your vision. He is removing fear, doubt, and emotional clutter so you can hear him with precision. Most people run from isolation because they fear the silence, they fear the stillness, they fear the absence of people, but what they call loneliness, heaven calls alignment. But in isolation, God reveals truths he could not reveal when your life was full of distractions. He exposes things you would never notice otherwise. He speaks to you about potential you don't see in yourself. He reveals your gifts, your strengths, your blind spots, your future. He gives instructions that require your full attention. Isolation also detoxes your spirit. It clears out voices that were unknowingly shaping your decisions. It breaks emotional dependence on people and re-centers you on God. It calms inner chaos and teaches you to hear the whispers of heaven. And here's the beautiful part. The season of isolation is temporary, but the clarity it gives is permanent. God doesn't isolate you to keep you hidden. He isolates you to prepare you. He is taking you deeper so he can send you higher. Isolation is God saying, come closer. I have things to show you. I need your heart still enough to hear me. I'm preparing you privately for what I'm about to do publicly. This is why the isolated season may feel quiet, but is never empty. It is a season of divine download, spiritual surgery, renewed purpose, and supernatural intimacy. It is where God teaches you to walk by faith, not by crowds, and to follow his voice, not the noise. God isolates you not to subtract from your life, but to add something greater to your spirit, something he couldn't give you while everything else was competing for your attention. When God is preparing you for something bigger than anything you've ever handled, he doesn't just develop your gifts, he develops your strength. And the way he does that is through struggle, not because he wants to see you suffer, but because he knows that greatness requires endurance, resilience, and spiritual maturity that can only be produced under pressure. Just like physical muscles grow by resistance, your spiritual muscles grow through opposition. Every time you push through something you thought would break you, you grow stronger. Every time you hold on to faith when life is pulling you toward fear, you grow spiritually. Every time you refuse to quit, even when quitting feels easier, you gain strength that will be essential in the next season of your life. Struggle is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It is a sign that he is training you. A person who has never struggled is easily shaken. But a person who has wrestled through storms, battles, and dark seasons becomes unbreakable. God allows struggle to teach you things comfort never could. How to pray with depth of routine, how to trust him when nothing makes sense, how to fight spiritually instead of collapsing emotionally, how to rely on people, how to stand firm when how to try his voice, how to discern confusion, insurance into both strengths you don't learn, a life choosing, try strength heal, builds the strength and fusion. It should knock you down in peaceful seasons. A strength is built in the valley, not on the mountaintop. And sometimes the struggle looks like doors closing unexpectedly, people walking away, opportunities slipping through your fingers, financial pressure, emotional exhaustion, delays that make no sense, silent seasons where hair even feels quiet, yet even in these moments, God is working on you. He is stretching your endurance, sharpening your faith, and teaching you how to hold on to him without depending on external signs. He is showing you that your strength doesn't come from what surrounds you, it comes from what's inside you. When God allows you to struggle, it means he sees more in you than you see in yourself. He knows your potential. He knows your capacity. He knows the battles you will face later, and he prepares you by training you now. Think of David. He didn't face Goliath without experience. He had already fought lions and bears. Think of Joseph. His time in prison taught him leadership and patience. Think of Daniel. His trials taught him boldness and integrity. Think of Paul. His hardships gave him spiritual authority. Your struggle is not random. It is skill building. It is inner development. It is spiritual conditioning. Struggle forces you to grow spiritually stronger, emotionally wiser, and mentally tougher. It teaches you to rise after falling, to pray after crying, to move after hurting. It molds a version of you that will not bow under pressure when God promotes you. If he never allowed you to struggle, you would step into your calling fragile, unprepared, and easily swayed by adversity. But because he loves you, he trains you. Because he sees your future, he strengthens you. Because he is preparing you for greatness, he allows you to build spiritual muscle that nothing and no one will ever be able to take away from you. One of the most common mistakes we make during challenging seasons is assuming that difficulty, delay, or discomfort is punishment. When doors close, when people leave, when life feels heavy, it's easy to believe God is against you. But nothing could be further from the truth. What you are experiencing is not punishment, it's positioning. God is aligning you, training you, and arranging circumstances so that when the right time comes, you can step into your destiny fully prepared. Positioning is different from punishment. Punishment implies wrongdoing, blame, or failure. Positioning implies purpose, strategy, and preparation. God sees the end from the beginning, and he knows exactly what you need to become before you receive what he is prepared for you. Every setback, every challenge, every no, and every season of waiting is part of the divine placement process. It is happening so that when the doors open, you are in the exact place you need to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and strategically. Think about Joseph. He was falsely accused, imprisoned, and forgotten by the very people he trusted, yet God was positioning him. Every moment in that pit and prison was a classroom, a training ground, and a preparation station. By the time Pharaoh called him to interpret dreams, Joseph had the wisdom, character, and patience to not only handle the responsibility, but to save an entire nation. That was positioning, not punish. God positions you by removing distractions that would slow you down. He positions you by bringing challenges that stretch your limits. He positions you by closing doors that are misaligned with your purpose and opening doors that you couldn't see. Every circumstance, every person, and every situation that seems difficult is actually a tool in God's hands to elevate you. Sometimes positioning feels painful because it requires letting go of what is familiar, comfortable, or safe. But God's positioning is always about preparing you for something greater than what you currently know or see. It may feel like a struggle, but that struggle is shaping your endurance, refining your character, and sharpening your focus. It is a necessary part of becoming the person who can receive the blessing, assignment, or opportunity that awaits you. God's positioning also ensures that you are in alignment with the right season and the right timing. He will not allow you to step into a season prematurely because the blessing requires readiness, it requires wisdom. It requires faith. It requires character. And the work he is doing now, though unseen, will equip you with exactly what you need to excel when your time arrives. Every closed door, every delay, every challenge, and every lonely season is actually proof that God is moving. He is not punishing you. He is arranging you. He is positioning you so that when the breakthrough comes, you will not just arrive, you will arrive fully equipped to handle the greatness he has destined for your life. Being positioned may feel like waiting, but it is a season of preparation. It is God shaping you in the private so you can shine in the public. It is the refining of your mind, the strengthening of your spirit, and the honing of your faith. And it is happening because God sees your potential, not your present circumstances. Patience is one of the hardest virtues to develop, yet it is one of the most essential when God is preparing you for greatness. Many people pray for breakthroughs, promotions, blessings, or miracles, but they are not ready for the weight of what they are asking for. That's why God intentionally cultivates patience in your heart. He knows that a blessing without patience can overwhelm, destroy, or derail your destiny. Think about it. Every great assignment in history required the person to wait, to endure, to persevere, and to trust God's timing. Abraham waited decades for the promise of Isaac. Joseph waited years in prison before stepping into the palace. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading a nation. David waited, often rejected and overlooked, before becoming king. And Jesus himself spent 30 years in obscurity before his public ministry. Patience was the invisible foundation that had held them steady until their appointed time arrived. God builds patience through seasons that test your faith. He places delays, obstacles, and interruptions not to discourage you, but to stretch your trust and deepen your reliance on him. Patience is the spiritual muscle that allows you to carry weight without breaking, to handle responsibility without arrogance, and to receive blessings without fear. It is the ability to endure the waiting season while keeping faith alive, hope burning, and vision intact. Without patience, people often sabotage their own blessings. They rush decisions, make impulsive choices, or compromise their integrity because they cannot wait for the right time. But God's timing is always perfect. The blessing you are praying for has weight financially, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And patience is the training that prepares you to hold it without being overwhelmed. God builds patience by refining your perspective. He teaches you that the value of a blessing is not measured by how quickly it comes, but by how well it prepares you. He shows you that the waiting period is as important as the moment of breakthrough. Every challenge, every delay, and every not yet is a lesson in endurance, discipline, and faith. Patience also protects your blessing. The longer you wait under God's guidance, the less likely you are to take shortcuts, settle for less, or allow pride and impatience to taint what he has designed for you. God does not just want to give you what you desire. He wants you to be ready to steward it wisely, faithfully, and powerfully. Developing patience requires trust. It requires letting go of the need to control outcomes. It requires surrendering your timeline to God's plan. And it requires believing that the same God who started the work in your life will complete it at the perfect moment. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is holding onto faith even when the world pressures you to give up. It is cultivating endurance even when results are delayed. It is growing in strength while circumstances seem stagnant. And then the reason God builds this patience in you is simple. Your blessing is too heavy to carry without it. The weight of greatness demands endurance. The weight of responsibility demands wisdom. And the weight of influence demands self-control. Patience ensures that when God finally hands you your breakthrough, you will be fully prepared to handle it with grace, faith, and excellence.